His truth is Attorney Jeff Sessions. Attorney General Sessions was sworn in as the 84th General of the United States on February 9, 2017 by Vice President Mike Pence. The Attorney General began his career as a practicing attorney in Russellville, Alabama, and later in Mobile. Following a 2-year period as the Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Alabama, Mr. Sessions was nominated by President Reagan in 1981 and confirmed by the Senate to serve as a U.S. Attorney of the Southern District, a position he held for 12 years. Sessions was elected Alabama Attorney General in 1995, serving as the state's chief legal officer until he entered the United States Senate. The Attorney General served as a United States Senator for Alabama for almost 20 years. During this time, as Senator, he was a strong supporter of law enforcement on many issues: asset forfeiture, barriers to access to electronic information, and efforts to update the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, and forensic science issues, just to name a few. In his short time in office as the Attorney General, he has worked hard to foster a great relationship between state and local law enforcement and the federal government. Attorney General Sessions has committed to having a very open dialogue between the U.S. Department of Justice and the International Association of Chiefs of Police. On behalf of the IACP, thank you for your leadership and the many other issues that you and your staff work on for us on a daily basis. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Sessions, Attorney General of the United States. We're so excited. Appreciate you. Knock it out of the park.
Thank you. Thank you all. It's so good to be with you. Thank you so much. I do feel at home. I had to get some pictures. They said they wanted some pictures not long ago for something. And it was, so I got back and looked at some of my childhood pictures, and there was one standing by a little white car that had police on the side of it. So I think I've kind of been warped from my earliest days and being really a fan of law enforcement and people who lead in law enforcement, and I've had the opportunity to observe it and come to have an appreciation about it. I thought I had some remarks here. We'll just chat a little bit together, and I won't use my formal remarks and break the hearts of my speech writers who probably lost sleep trying to tell me what to say today. I just would say to you, with all honesty, I understand fully that 85% of law officers in America are state and local. It's not the federal government. And we have tremendous advantages like interstate and international, and you've got jurisdictional barriers and other things that we all have to work together on to achieve a safe and lawful society. And I want you to know I understand that. And I truly believe if we're going to make progress in the years to come, we have to work together even more than we have. And I think in most jurisdictions we have pretty good relationships between federal and state and among all our agencies. And I just believe that's important. It will be a priority of mine. And I understand that ultimately public safety in a city is dependent on the police department, not the Justice Department for the most part. But we can help. There are things that we can do to further this, and I intend to work in that regard. To me, one of the most amazing things about America is our legal system, the ability of most Americans to feel that their country, that there's some sort of justice out there, that people who rob, rape, steal get punished, and people can go to court and have a fair day in court. This kind of thing is rare in the world. As on the Armed Services Committee for 20 years, I've traveled the globe, and let me tell you, it does not happen in other places like it happens here. You can count on almost one hand the number of countries in the world that have anything like the kind of responsible legal system that we have, and is a key to prosperity. in addition to public safety. It's a key to prosperity that our communities be safe. And we can't just have safety for the rich communities, the gated communities, the ones that oppose walls at the border but build them around their mansions. Give me a break. This is, you can't build a wall. But what made me say the wall? You know what the old farmers used to say? A good fence makes good neighbors. And so sometimes it is a sense of defining jurisdictions and legality and processes. So I believe we have an opportunity to move forward. I was there in 1975 as an assistant United States attorney. And I remember coming into the office, that was the greatest job and they gave me 16 heroin cases. None of them, as I recall, had a purity level of more than 5%. And DEA agent told me in Birmingham Saturday that it almost averages 80% today. I mean, this is a stunning thing to me. I had no idea that heroin could be sold at that level of purity. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I said it would kill you. Apparently, it does kill a lot of people. And so I just would say to you that things that are happening out there that concern me. Last year, the murder rate was up 10.8%. How much is that? Well, the rule of 7 in finance, if you increase it 7% a year, 10 years, you double your money. So in 10 years, we're on the rate to more than, we're going to double the murder rate at this rate in less than 10 years. That's a serious thing. This year's numbers look bad too, murder rate going up. So I think I would, go to school in the early 70s and the 60s, I remember, and all the drugs and all this, if it feels good, do it, and all this kind of libertine behavior, we ended up with crime surging every year through the 70s and 60s too. A lot of people died. A lot of people destroyed their lives with drugs, and it was not as glorious a time as a lot of people want to remember today it to be. And so it took a long-term time. More than Washington would like to give credit to, we improved law enforcement. We got better every year. You've got techniques that you use in your departments that are preferable to what we were doing in 1980. And it has helped turn the tide on crime. So we now have a murder rate, at least a year or so ago, less than half of what it was in 1980. Drug use went down dramatically. I remember when I became a United States attorney in 81, half the seniors in high school, according to the University of Michigan study, acknowledged having used an illegal drug. Over half the seniors. That dropped to less than 25%, more than half. How many people were not addicted? How many lives were saved? How many college careers were able to be achieved because they didn't get destroyed by drugs? And now what we're seeing on the drug situation is far more purity in these drugs and more danger than we've seen ever before. New England Journal of Medicine did a study for, they think they did it for the DEA, and they concluded that heroin the surge in heroin was driven by more availability, lower price, and greater purity. And you're getting more people addicted. And then you got fentanyl on top of that, which is incredibly dangerous. We got 140 people a day die from drug overdoses is almost beyond comprehension. That's more than accidents and shootings combined, I understand. So I just would say to you, I don't think that the rising crime we've seen and violent crime in the last year or two is just a blip. I'm afraid we're facing a pretty serious thing. Now, the federal prison, we've had a lot of things happening. I supported one of the first bills, the crack cocaine bill that reduced penalties for crack cocaine. I thought they were severe, and we could adjust those downward. But we now have, because sentencing guidelines in federal court are down, other actions by the Department of Justice and the courts, prison populations went from like 205,000 to 180 or 185,000 after, increasing. So our crowd is saying, the geniuses out there, well, you've got we've had this long decrease in crime, and now you want to lock more people up. I'm saying I'm getting worried we're not locking more people up. I think most states have followed the federal lead, and many of them with budget crises are reducing their prison population too. At least I hear a lot of people complain of people with multiple convictions not going to jail and not being disciplined. So I'm worried that we could be at a trend in which the threat of rising crime that we do not need to allow happen. Do not need to allow it to happen, is real. Drugs, crime, disorder is dangerous. And then we're adding additional pressure on our police, and almost a sort of a demoralization of the very fabric of law enforcement and law and order, in a diminishment, an undermining of the respect we owe our law officers who walk these streets every day and put their lives at risk. Do you want them to come up to people on the street and ask them questions and be proactive and try to find out what's going on in the neighborhood? Or you just want them to sit in the car? Is that what they want you to do? Wherever this has happened, wherever proactive policing is not occurring, we've seen dramatic increases in murder rates. You know what happened in Chicago and all the forms they have to fill out, and they've got over 50% reduction in arrest, and murders are surging. The same as I'm concerned about Baltimore. It's a good city, but crime is surging. I think their murder rate in Baltimore is about double in 2 years. Can you imagine that? Doubling a murder rate in a big city in just a couple of 3 years. So this is not good, and so I'm uneasy about some of the things that are happening there and around the country. I want you to know we're concerned about it. I think the President sent us 3 executive orders, and I liked them all. Might as well, huh? He said we want to demolish the international cartels. That's what he didn't say. Attack them. He said demolish them. He means, and then he on crime, on violent crime, he said it's a policy of this administration to reduce crime in America, not to preside over an increase in crime, but to reduce crime in America. Well, I know what that means. I mean, that means you, even more than me, a lot more than me. So I'm dependent on you if we're going to do that. He also issued a 3rd order backing the men in blue and saying that we're going to do more to protect our law officers, validate, respect, and honor those who serve us so well, and prosecute effectively and protect the civil rights of Americans. You don't oppose that. I don't find any police chief that says if one of their officers goes out and does something illegal and that they shouldn't be disciplined. But for the most part, we need to celebrate the ones who do good every day. So I issued a directive today dealing with federal law officers. And it said that we're going to prosecute anybody, and I'm directed to my U.S. attorneys, that assaults a federal police officer, a border patrol officer, out here in the desert somewhere, by himself, maybe, just a couple of people. This is a dangerous situation to be in. We need to send a message that if you attack one of our officers, you're going to get hammered. We're going to throw the book at you in that regard. I feel strongly about it. So we've had this dramatic improvement in the border situation. I thought it could happen. I told people, I said, I believe we can achieve, just by strong leadership, I believe we can reduce the illegality at the border by 50% in a year. That's my secret goal. I'm kind of letting you guys. Well, they just announced that this last month, March, was the lowest illegal entrant in 17 years, 72% below the last month of the previous administration's illegal entrant into the country. And I think those numbers are pretty accurate. And I just say to you, we haven't built a wall yet, and we're just getting started. But we're going to back these officers up when they come in here and they have prior convictions, or they involved in a drug dealing gang or child abuse and have records for those kind of things. They're out of here. America is the most generous nation on immigration. We admit 1.1 million people a year to permanent legal residence. But until you have permanent legal residence and or citizenship, you don't get to come to America and commit crimes. I mean, you're here on provision, on good behavior. We don't have any obligation to keep somebody in our country who came here on permission, on a visa, or illegally on top of that, and they get to commit crimes, and we have to apologize for deporting them from the country. This is ridiculous. So I'm serious about the view that we need just to restore common sense in our immigration policy. The American people want an immigration policy that's lawful, that respects our values, that protects the national interest, and one that they can be proud of. This thing we've been doing for all these years, politicians promising we're going to do better, and I'm campaigning, and I'm going to do all this, and then they get there, nothing ever changes. So I think we're seeing some changes now, and I believe the President is serious about it, and I'm excited to have a little part in it. I was with Border Patrol officers and Customs officers earlier this morning. General Kelly, the Secretary of Homeland Security, is just fabulous. I really like this guy. He is smart, strong, confident, fun to be with, goes before those committees, and they all yap at him, and he just answers that question. He doesn't worry about them. And they go away. They don't even get mad at him. You know, I'm thinking, they get mad at me, General. Why do they don't get mad at you? So I just think we're on the right track there. And I think there are a lot of people that got in trouble in their home countries. And, you know, our friends in Texas, I used to tell Senator Cornyn, I said, John, you know, in the old days when people got in trouble in Alabama, we didn't put them in jail. We just sent them to Texas. And and they'd have, you know, that story they put on the door, GTT, gone to Texas. Well, people around and my heart, you know, hurt your feelings over there. You are the biggest of the 48. Continue. So it's a great state, but we can do better. In the course of picking up and having people come to their country, our country, a lot of them, I think, are fleeing criminal difficulties in their home towns. Just imagine, you know, you're the sheriff or the police chief in some town, and you don't want to lock this guy up. If he'll just leave town, you don't want to feed him for the next 5 years. Get good riddance. Go to U.S. of A. So I think we have a right and a duty to protect our communities. Now, I know we've had a fuss over the sanctuary cities. Maybe some of you have cities and counties in your neighborhood that support that, but I don't think that's good. I think if a person is in our country who commits a crime while in our country, they ought to be deported, as the law says, when they serve their time in the local Bastille. And I can't imagine anybody, any sheriff or that would want to not do that, or any police chief that would not want to do that. But we definitely have cities that are telling their law enforcement officers not to report to the federal agencies who have the duty to deport people. They're not sharing that information is causing some problem. And you know the tremendously sad story of Kate Steinle, her brother and her father, in whose arms she died, testified before our committee not too long ago. And when I was in the Judiciary Committee still in the Senate, and it was very moving testimony. But that guy had been deported, 5 times and had 6 felony convictions. And he chose San Francisco because he knew it was a sanctuary city. That's why he went there. I just think this is not good public policy. So I hope as you're able to speak out and work on this issue, we get our people to start reconsidering that policy. It's not good for the country, in my opinion. It's not good for the people of their cities and their jurisdictions, and it's not good for the whole country. I sent out a memo, let me just sort of, because I know it's important to you, on the role of how we see our role as relating as the Department of Justice. I can't find this now, I'm sorry. If I'd read the speech, it would have been right where my staff put it. So I directed the heads of the Justice Department, U.S. Department of Justice components in Washington, and all our United States attorneys to review immediately all Department of activities to ensure that they fully and effectively promote the following principles, really as we relate to you, to state and local law enforcement. And these are the principles we put out. And after we put them out, we asked that the judge in Maryland give us a little more time to talk with Baltimore people about what we could work out with them to help make things a little better than I think they're going to find with that 200-page decree. Of course, he gave us one day, and that was it. But we never really got to have time with them to see if we could improve things. So this is what I said to our people. We will help promote officer safety, officer morale, and public support for the uniquely dangerous work of police officers. That's a priority of ours. 2, we will ensure that law enforcement protects and respects the civil rights of all. I think you all share that view. We're not out here to abuse people's civil rights. We're trying to use our powers, and your officers are trying to do the best they can every day. I hope and pray they are, to identify criminal activity, protect the neighborhood, and not to violate civil rights. But if they do, the Department of Justice has a role, as you know, and we'll try to use it wisely and effectively. 3, we will respect the local control and local accountability that are needed for effective policing. Yeah, you can say good if you like. But I believe that. Policing is different in different cities, in different neighborhoods. Somebody from Washington can't declare how you're going to run policing in America. And don't we know that proactive policing, broken windows, community-based policing has transformed our law enforcement capabilities? Why in the world would we want to impose a consent decree that undermines that? It makes no sense to me. And wherever that's really been done in a significant way, you've had problems like in, I won't mention it. So we're going to strengthen the partnership between federal, state, and local and tribal officers. We need to continue to build on that partnership because we're in this together. And the Department of Justice, we will not allow the misdeeds of a few bad actors to impugn or undermine the legitimate work of law enforcement. So I commit to you to this. Department of Justice will encourage proactive policing that your departments have to do to be effective, to keep your neighborhoods safe, and we will have the back of all honorable and honest law enforcement officers. We will support them in their work. So this afternoon, and you know, every neighborhood deserves to have law enforcement. Every neighborhood deserves to have the criminals that are disrupting their playgrounds and their street corners, have those people removed and confronted, and not allow them to sell dope all around the streets, pulling down, if nothing else, their property values and their own neighborhood quality of life. So I think we all share that. And I know it's one of the prime insights of modern law enforcement is you look at where the crime is and you put people where the crime occurs in the neighborhoods where people are suffering, and it's the people, the good and decent people in the poor neighborhoods and that are suffering the most, and overwhelmingly those neighborhoods are filled with good and decent people who want to be safe and secure in their homes. That's who we're trying to serve. And sometimes you have to reach in there and grab somebody that's bad and put them in the slammer. You remember that great song in Pirates of Penzance? Gilbert and Sullivan, I guess, in the 1890s. When constabulary duties are to be done, a policeman's lot is not a happy one. You know, we don't enjoy putting people in jail, but vindicating victims and standing up for them is a sense of satisfaction that I think all of us have shared. So this afternoon I've discussed a few of the challenges that we're going to have to face. Just give you an insight in where I'm coming. I want to thank all of you for sharing your insights with me on law enforcement, for the friendship and support you've given me personally. Hadn't always been an easy time, dealing with these senators and so forth. I used to be one, so I guess I can talk about them. We can't do any of the challenges that we face today alone. All of us know that it transcends our own departments, our own jurisdictional boundary lines, and I hope that together that we can work with you to help you reach a higher level of success and to protect this country from terrorists and others who might come here against our laws, and to, in general, make our communities safer. God bless you in your work. God bless you in your leadership, and maybe the Lord will bless us and we can begin to turn the tide on this rising crime that I'm afraid is out there today. Thank you all so much.
Okay, you're wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad you won it. I'm so glad you did it that way. Yeah. So on the way out here, I told the Attorney General the few times I've met with him, he speaks from the heart, and it's truly, you can feel his presence. And I go, it means a lot. And he goes, I might just do that. Well, he did. The speech is this thick, by the way. But Attorney General Sessions, on behalf of your law enforcement, we thank you for what you do every day. It does make a difference. And a small token of appreciation from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And really, your law enforcement, thank you. And here's a small token, sir. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. This was Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He also spoke earlier today at the border with Texas and Mexico. So if you missed it, go to our channel. It's uploaded on there. You guys can check it out. He was doing like a little tour, and then he spoke regarding new laws that are coming when it comes to illegal aliens and also the people that harbor aliens. And if an illegal alien comes through for the second time and gets caught here in the United States, he will be charged with a felony. That is actually new. That didn't happen before. Before, what would happen is if an illegal was to come here into the United States and was caught more than once, they will be banned from the United States for 10 years. But now they're going to be charged with a felony. And once they're done doing their time, they're going to get sent right back. So this is something new. Also, you will be charged with a felony if you transport or harbor any illegal aliens. So make sure to always keep an eye out. And if you suspect anything or any illegal activities, always report it. Any illegal aliens, always report it. It's the law. And, we have to help. Also, as a community, we have to help the Attorney General and the President, ICE, Border Patrol, DHS, all those guys. We have to also help them out because they need a lot of help. And we need to get criminals out of here. We need to get people that don't belong, people that don't go through the process and pay the fees and all the other stuff and don't contribute to taxes, even though the left said they do when they don't. There's also another rule that Attorney Jeff Sessions just spoke this morning regarding people that have fake papers, including IDs, driver's licenses, and also social security numbers that don't belong to them. So all that stuff is new, and there's new laws, and he said that they're going to move a lot more judges down to the border side, so that way people can be processed and charged faster compared to just throwing them at different cities and waiting for the process to go through. So what they're going to do is they're going to take them down to like the border area, try them, and if they're going to go to prison, then they get sent to whatever prison they're going to go to. If they're not going to prison, then they'll get deported at that moment. And they're trying to speed up the process. They're trying to get all the illegal aliens out as soon as possible. And they're going to try to make it a lot harder for them to come back in. So the recidivism process is going to go down. As of right now, there is going to, as of right now, the border crossings have, lowered by 65%, which is very good. And we hope that we can reach at least 90. In a perfect world, there should be 100, but 90 is a very good number that I believe will help out for the next few years. But it's a good thing that now these people are going to get charged with a felony if they cross for a second time and they're caught. So always report illegal aliens to ICE. If you suspect anybody being an illegal alien, always report them to ICE so they can get them out of here. So yeah, folks, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for choosing us as your stream of choice. If you are new to our community, hit the subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys here next time. But until then, peace.